Well, thanks for staying with us on the program this morning. It's now time to dialogue on issues in the news and stories making headlines across the pages of various newspapers this morning. Joining us in our studio to begin the conversation as we look to x-ray the issues in the news is a social commentator and a public affairs analyst, Mr. Moses Idika. Hello, Mr. Moses. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. My pleasure, as always.
Now, let's start with one of the major stories making rounds this morning. A lot of debate has been on what the issue or the problem with Nigeria is, so to say. Now, the former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, seems to differ with Atiku on the position of the 1999 constitution. Mr. OBJ says even though we have a brand new constitution, its implementation and the operators are the problem and not the constitution in itself. Do you agree that the problem with Nigeria is beyond a constitution review?
Yes, I totally align myself with the position of the former president because there is no constitution if it cannot be obeyed. It doesn't matter what constitution anyone brings to Nigeria today. What matters is, are people willing to, especially those in positions of authority, are they willing to go by the constitution? This is a Nigeria where state government, local government, the federal government have consistently and serially disobeyed court rulings, court orders. They select the court rulings to obey. They select the laws, sections of the laws to obey. And that is what has caused the most problem in the country. It's not about the constitution. There is no one perfect constitution anywhere on this planet. Every constitution is a dynamic document that changes as the world, as the environment, as the community changes. There are things that used to be part of the constitution in the 80s, in the 70s, in several countries, but today they are no longer there because the situation has changed. So it is not about the kind of constitution we have. It is about the people that are operating the constitution. Are they going by the constitution?
Now, the big challenge is with what many refer to as a post-military industrial complex, that the first page of the 1999 constitution, though it says, "We the people of Nigeria," fails to reflect a people's constitution. And I think it's from that angle that Mr. Atiku is coming from. How do we achieve a people's constitution? Or what should be the contents of such a constitution that are not captured in the 1999 constitution as amended?
There is no section of the 1999 constitution as amended that is cast in iron to the point that it cannot be deliberated upon and changed to reflect the current realities. What has happened since 1999 is that continuously, consistently, people in governance have driven away step by step from the constitution itself. For example, let me give you, there's this Tafa Balogun that used to be the IGP of Nigerian police. At a point he said that why the Nigerian police was slow and inefficient was because an elephant is on the logo of the Nigerian police, and an elephant is not a swift animal, so maybe you should change it to a cheetah, So, and that summarizes the idea, the consciousness of the average Nigerian political elite, that he or she doesn't look deeply into what it is. Now, we are talking about the politics, the constitution, and look at it from this angle. You go to social clubs, cooperative societies, they have their bylaws. Most times they end up in the court because they are unable to abide by their own bylaws that is less than 20 pages. We have political parties in Nigeria today who are unable to obey the tenets of their own bylaws. So, and that is the microcosm of the Nigerian situation. Political parties, individuals, small groups who have come together to say, okay, let us give ourselves a guideline. Most times, those same persons puncture those guidelines, ensure they don't obey them. And that has permeated the society to the point that the political class selects the sections of the Constitution that appeals to them. A government goes to court as a plaintiff. If the court rules against the government decides not to obey that same court ruling. So it is not about the Constitution. It has always been about those operating the Constitution.
Now, a certain group known as the Patriots had also looked to have delegates come together, convene in Abuja, and begin dialogue on some aspects that they think can help review our constitution, talks of referendum, devolution and power. How significant is this? Would I call it advocacy by the Patriots?
Well, I do not know the intention of the Patriots, in quote. But what I do know is that over time, what Nigerians should advocate for is that every Nigerian should obey laid down rules. The ground norm of our democratic existence, the 1999 Constitution, we should obey it to the letter. If we say that this is how, if you have to drive by look at it this way, we are in a country that has a tradition of right-hand driving. You realize that most times when you drive against the traffic, there are more than 60% chances that you are going to collide with someone. And that is the summary of our situation. If we go through the right way, then the Patriots, of course, they are free to advocate for changes. We already know in the National Assembly today, both in the House of Reps and in the Senate, there are over 200 aspects of the Constitution that are before the Constitution Review Committee for amendment. A lot of those sections, when they now have a concurrent agreement on the sections to be amended, it will be taken back to the states. And the state houses of assembly, because the Constitution requires that 2/3 of the 36 states will have to agree for a section of the Constitution to be amended. Now, talking about devolution of powers, yes, we have a local government system in Nigeria. We say we are a 3-tier government, but governors are making it look like we have 2-tier government. It starts from there. The Supreme Court, the apex constitutional court, like it's called in some other climes, ruled July 2024 that local governments should be given their allocation as the 3rd tier of the government. Till date, state governors, they have pretended that really never happened. Even the president and the attorney general of the federation who went to the Supreme Court, they are incapacitated. The political will to get this aspect of our constitution operational is not there. The president is playing politics with it. He doesn't want to fall out with the governors. And because the local government fund is a slush fund for governors, is where they make all the humongous amounts and acquire properties and become billionaires overnight. So that is the problem. The 1999 Constitution already devolved power to the states, to the federal government, and to local government. Now, in some places you see the federal government encroaching. In some areas you see the state government completely overtaking the powers of the local government. So if anybody is saying that devolution of power or a new constitution, there is no new constitution that is going to come and suddenly change things unless Nigerians, the institutions itself that execute these laws, become functional by their own established standards. If you say Code of Conduct Bureau, this is what you should do, let Code of Conduct Bureau do that irrespective of whose or is God. So that is the only way forward.
Now let's look at the side of the debate from the angle of the former Commonwealth Secretary General, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, who said that in as much as our diversity ought to be our strength, it is part of the issues that the 1999 Constitution has failed to address, that it is not a true federal constitution owing to our pluralistic nature as a people. And this is also seen in the appointments around the need for the principle of federal character to be carried along, but often at times it is jettisoned. How do we make a good cause for this debate in a constitution review?
In when you bring it to the table, you find out that from 1999 to date, there is no, because what you call federal character is minimum standard.
Why so? Minimum standard.
Yes, for example, they say the constitution requires the president to appoint a minister, one minister at least from each state. Every government from 99 to Bola Tinubu's administration have fulfilled that minimum standard. They cooperate, they could appoint, for example, Tinubu is from Lagos. He could decide to have 5 ministers from Lagos and 1 minister from Kano and every other state. He has fulfilled that federal character principle. In various government MDAs, you find out that the federal character principle is also applied sometimes because of location. You find some persons, some groups having more representation. But all of this thing boils down to the fact that Nigeria, for example, if you say you are going to give admission to people, students seeking admission into various institutions, and you say that, like JAMB has lowered the standard by saying they now have 150 as the cutoff marks, if you can give everyone that is eligible by that cutoff mark of 150, then it's fine. But you still find that some people will still have 140, they will get admission, and those who have the 150 or even 200 won't get admission. So that is where it is not a constitutional issue. It is more like a moral issue in Nigeria, that this is what we should do, and you decide on your own because you are the chief executive officer to go against that because you feel you have the power to do it. So I think that what Anyoku is saying, well, it's not totally wrong, but he should be advocating that Nigerians obey their own laws, their own rules. It's a step by step. American Constitution, they told us, is over a 200-year period, and they've had series of amendments over the years, over the decades. So, and that is the way it should be. There is no time that the country will be suspended as a democracy and a new constitution, comes to be. Now, the constitution already told us that only the National Assembly can amend it. How do you now do it? Are you going to dismantle the National Assembly, maybe constitute a constituent assembly again of so-called pristine persons of integrity to give us a constitution? After giving us the constitution, who now operates the constitution? So I think that the summary is that we must learn to obey our laws, and people in authority should take their oath of office serious, because every oath of office says that you are saying that you are going to abide and protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, before we move on to another subject of discuss this morning, it's on the need for a confab. The current administration has talked about the need for a national youth confab. But many are also asking the question of how far with recommendations from the 2014 confab. Where are we on this? Do we need another confab? Do we need to fully implement recommendations from 2014? Or how do we move forward?
Well, the government has been saying this because the government has become jittery, because the social media has given young people voices. Before now, you only heard on government TV or government licensed TV or media outfits. But today, young persons, even the older ones, are now using the social media to air their views. And the preponderance of views is that Nigerian youth are not happy with the government, because there are no opportunities for them, and that is why the Japa syndrome has become a menace. And you could see that a lot of countries that Nigerians would feel comfortable to go to, everyone is shutting down their doors against Nigerians. Now, the idea of youth confab is diversionary. It has no meaning. It's not well intentioned, because for a country, it's like a father. You don't have to call your children together to say, what do I do for you? Tell me what to do. You already know as a parent that you have to give your children shelter, you have to give them education, you have to set them up for life, because until you have done that, you have not acquitted yourself creditably as a parent. So Nigerian government already knows that. Every Nigerian youth cannot become a praise singer to a politician. Every Nigerian youth cannot become a bag carrier for a politician. A lot of Nigerian youth just want to express their creative mind. They just want to excel. Give them basic education. Is their right. If they fall ill, they should have a hospital that they can be taken care of. If those who have learned skills or those who have gone to school, there should be that opportunity for them to either hone their skills or get a job. So the Nigerian youth does not need you to bring him a few of them to Abuja, lodge them into a hotel, and perhaps hand them over a few $1,000s, and it will never be representative of the needs of the Nigerian youth. The country, Nigeria as a country, every state owe their youth, their young population, that responsibility of creating an environment where the youth can thrive. If you go around every street, you see umbrellas, POS operators, someone selling this, someone selling that. Even at that, excruciating pain, of eking out a living, the government still harasses the young people on the streets. So with security agency, with revenue collectors, all manner of things. So the system is not that is inspiring for the young person. So we do not need any conference or confab or whatever name is called. What Nigeria needs is to be governed like a people that can be hopeful, that you can say, I am going to study psychology in the university, or I'm going to study engineering or social service or social work, knowing full well that there is a space that will accommodate you to earn your living with that and, make progress. That is what the Nigerian youth need.
Well, quite interesting perspectives on the program this morning, making progress with all the issues in the news. We'll also now talk about a special Federal Executive Council meeting scheduled for today in honor of Nigeria's former Commander-in-Chief and President Muhammadu Buhari, to be chaired by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, and it's on the expectations for this. Is it going to be more ceremonial? What do you expect of such a special FEC meeting?
Well, it's all cosmetics, because nothing is going to change. At best, they will name some institutions or some places after the president. Buhari already has so many things named after him, including an airport in my state, Ebonyi, where the then governor named after him. So I think let's give it to the former president. As an individual, he lived a fulfilled life. He achieved most of his life dreams, but then he didn't leave Nigeria the way we expected him to have, because in 2015, a lot of people felt that he was the Messiah, and he came back, and the country got to a nosedive where a lot of things, became worse than they were. But then it's the right of the current government to give him a special FEC meeting. But what is FEC meeting? Federal Executive Council meeting, a meeting of persons appointed by the president who go there to do exactly what the president wants them to do. And what they are going to do, perhaps they are going to pay tribute individual. Everybody will stand up, say nice things about the former president, even those who didn't like the former president. And so there is no expectation, because whatever decision they take in that special FEC meeting will not have any impact on the lives of Nigerians. At best, it's going to increase our suffering, because if they name some institutions after him, it means that those institutions will now deploy public funds again to rebrand, and so it's neither here nor there, but it's their right.
Now, the exit of such an icon has been dubbed as a colossal loss. I've looked at some speculations in that regard. Persons like Lukman have said his demise now means that there is no political giant in the north. Many would beg to differ. One of such persons of influence is the former VP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who is in the news this morning and happens to be our next point of conversation. For the third time, he has chosen to resign from the People's Democratic Party. His letter of resignation went viral as issued to the ward chairman in Adamawa State. But it's on the reasons he's given for this decision. He has cited irreconcilable differences, and hence the reason why he is exiting the party for the third time. What do you make of his reasons for his exit?
Well, Atiku Abubakar exiting PDP for the third time is strictly within his right. He could do that. Several persons have exited the party either biologically or by choice.
I like that.
So the fact is, there is this match, in quotes, to redeem the country. And in the words of former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, I think he said that whatever would help the government change, that he was going to be part of it. So some people have that attitude and outlook to the upcoming 2027 general elections, which is like 2 years away. And just like the former president died, we don't know how many of us are going to be there to go to the ballot by 2027. But it is all within the democratic right of former VP Atiku Abubakar. And there's one thing you must give to Atiku. Since 1993, Atiku has shown himself to be a consistent Democrat. He has been a consistent Democrat. He has mentored several persons. You recall that in 2003, when himself and his former boss, Olusegun Obasanjo, were going to, recontest, Atiku had more loyalists in government, including then 7 governors, than the president. There were this rumor that the president prostrated for him to not leave but run with him, which a lot of people say became his undoing, in that the general said that, for making me beg you, I will always work against you, something like that. Mm-hmm. So now, but notwithstanding all of those, Atiku has shown himself to be a calm Democrat. It doesn't matter what you may think about him. Over the years, in 2015, he did it, and we saw the results. And the then government of PDP collapsed. So for me, I've seen a lot of people, including the governor of Oyo State, trying to wish him away, but it's not true, because even Governor Makinde himself contested for governorship for like 4 times on different platforms until 2019, when he contested under PDP and won. So for the average Nigerian politician, they've always seen the political party as a special purpose vehicle to achieve their aim, and not necessarily an ideological route that you find difficult to dissociate yourself from. So if Atiku has moved the way he has moved, well, we wish him good luck. Those who are in PDP remain in PDP, but we also know that a lot of people that are mocking Atiku today for leaving PDP are the same person who were in PDP in 2023, but were not in they were wearing PDP clothes, but they were not in PDP.
In terms of working with the APC?
Yes. So you find out that it's even better that you say I am not here and you are not here than you say I'm here and
one leg in, one leg out.
Yes. So there are interesting days ahead, and we are going to be seeing exactly what the days are going to be thrown at various political parties. Recall that Oyegun, a former national chairman of the APC, recently also left the APC. So the machinations are ongoing and it's just coming up. So many changes are still going to happen. A lot of people, even those who are in elected offices today, may still change parties. So it is not, Atiku's leaving PD is not an end in itself.
Now, let's look at some of the reactions in terms of the political firestorm that has brewed following his exit. There have been prominent replies, and I'd like for us to look at three of them. First, Governor Seyi Makinde says that the ex-VP's exit is inconsequential. Is that how much Alhaji Atiku Abubakar stocks has fallen?
No. I said it earlier because I saw that headline earlier this morning where Governor Makinde was saying it's inconsequential, it's a good riddance to a bad rubbish. But we all know it is not true. We have that rumor now in his domain, Southwest, that Governor Adeleke may defect
to the APC.
And I'm sure if that happens, he may say it's inconsequential too. But for every defection from a hitherto vibrant party to another party, something has left the party. And it doesn't matter, Atiku has got that track record in this democratic process that people like Makinde are learners where the likes of Atiku are. So when a Makinde believes that Atiku is inconsequential, well, is left to be seen because he is a second-term governor. The only thing Makinde is concerned about is what next after Agodi Government House. His political value, he's opening a shop. PDP has become a shop for him to trade with. And in the last 7 months, we saw it. We saw the things that they were all trying to destroy PDP, even though they claim that they are members of the PDP. So when Makinde and some other persons, more persons will still say a lot of.
Let's talk about another person as well. The next person is the current Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo Essayed. He penned down quite a lengthy reaction to this. He says as much as he respects Atiku's rights of association as enshrined in the Constitution, he thinks that the timing is a little bit flawed. He dare now accused Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of trying to steal the spotlight over the passing of the former president and make it all about himself.
What spotlight is Keyamo talking about? Nobody planned for former President Buhari to die. And who told him that Atiku hadn't concluded his defection or his resignation from PDP before President Buhari died? And it is also prying into a place that Keyamo has no right to. It's a personal affair of Atiku Abubakar, and you cannot tell him what to do. It's like if we recall before now, the things that Keyamo said about President Bola Tinubu, he was one of those. In fact, he was one of the lawyers that prosecuted Tinubu for forgery. And today,
he's an appointee of that
Tinubu, and he goes there every other day to say Sir Aranka did and all that. So if we now begin to judge Keyamo from that point that, okay, you were here and now you are here, well, he will say it is his personal decision. So it is also Atiku's personal decision to determine when he has to leave. When you look at the resignation letter, that resignation letter read 14th July. And when you look at when was 14th July? So when these persons come to say all these things, they are just trying to hug the headlines, and there is no there is no substance to such utterances.
Now, the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari continues to remain the subject of more speculations, although some of them can be founded on the ADC coalition and the key figures from the CPC bloc were seen pitching their tent with the ADC. Now, the Punch newspaper earlier had the headline ahead of 2027 saying that more loyalists of the former president and core members of the CPC bloc would be leaving the APC. Prominent of them is former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Does this show us anything in that regard?
Yeah, thank you for bringing my mind back to that, because I was going to talk about that, in that the big blow of former President Buhari's death is to the APC, because just a day before President Buhari died, Yemi or Nonuga or something, one of the presidential aides, was on a podcast with a popular broadcaster where he was trying to defend the fact that President Tinubu was not sidelining Buhari loyalists. That, of course, President Tinubu had his people all the way from when he was governor. There are persons who have stayed with him, and he had that right to work with certain persons, but that doesn't mean that he is sidelining some other people. And if President Buhari hadn't died, what would have happened is that towards the build-up of 2027 election, he will be propped up to speak to his loyalists on camera that they should support their party man. And actually, Buhari he was a gentleman. If he wasn't a gentleman, perhaps President Tinubu wouldn't have become the president.
The president, sorry to cut you, has also kind of scapegoated his predecessor for the current woes the country is in. Do you think this has also played a role in the CPC bloc's decision?
It's always clear that the president, as we now have, has his own, ideas. It's not like he respected Buhari. Buhari was an SPV for President Bola Tinubu. Recall that Bola Tinubu had wanted, from what we were told, had wanted to deputize Buhari in 2015. But for the political current then, where a Christian president was living and was in the PDP, and they saw it that it wasn't going to work out, and that was why Professor Yemi Osinbajo was, delegated to do that. And in 2023, President Buhari didn't really want Tinubu. But when
at the time, we could read that from his body language before he finally endorsed.
When a lot of things happened, he played the gentleman. He didn't want to rock the boat. So I believe that President Tinubu also had that at the back of his mind in forming his cabinet. Perhaps that was what really affected El-Rufai joining the cabinet. So when you look at all of this, like I was saying earlier, the death of President Buhari is a blow to the APC, because now the people in old CPC, called Buhari loyalists, who are already ostracized in the current government, can now have that laxity, that freedom to choose to go to wherever they want to go, because the government was always going to go back to Buhari to talk to him and say, let us not do this. And Buhari could, his loyalists respected him. He wasn't going to, none of them was going to go against him if he said, let us go this way. So now the field is open, and it's left for the government to convince those CPC loyalists and Buhari loyalists, and if the government convinces them, fine. If it doesn't, fine. So, but the summary is that the death of the former president has opened up the north for anybody's taking, including the current government.
Well, quite interesting takes from Mr. Moses Idika this morning on the political angles of discourse. We have other socio-economic topics making the round this morning. We'll just get his thoughts on them But before we get into those aspects with a new inflationary rate for the month of June as published by the NDS, the Nigerian Police Force has intimated the media of 151 police officers who are reportedly being probed for disciplinary misconduct. Now, and it also gave us the statistics that in the last 2 years, 34 police officers had been dismissed from the service as well. Now, this antecedent is coming off the back of quite a landmark and historic protest in 2020 over police brutality. The MPFL seems to be shifting body language to seem to redeem the trust of Nigerians in the police. What do you make of this report making the rounds now of 151 police officers to be probed for misconduct?
Well, it's not new. This is not the first time it's happening. There's what they call orderly room trial.
Yes.
Within the police and the armed forces. It's a continuous thing because the police is a system that continues to evolve. But what is happening now, before now, some of these things happen quietly because the spirit of esprit de corps, they dismiss some of them and still kind of try to reintegrate them into the civil society because by, downplaying their dismissal from the force so that they can quietly go, But now what the police is doing is like trying to bribe the public ahead of what they could do because you can never trust the Nigerian police or any police anywhere. When the police tells you to go right, be rest assured that that place is perhaps going to lead to a gulag. So people like us, some of us, we don't believe that there is any changes. If you go to any police station today, they will write it that bail is free, but you still have to pay. In fact, if you have issue within, today a lot of things happen. You write a petition to the police. Within the police, some persons still make you to pay. They say for the CP or the ACP or the DIG to approve your petition. You know what it means to approve a petition within the police? Your lawyer writes or you write, and the petition has to be approved. And for the petition to be approved, certain conditions have to be met. Not that you write a petition and the police, as statutorily given, takes up the intelligence you've given, because every petition is an intelligence to the police. And what they should do is normally to investigate it. You report a crime, police want you to fuel their car to go and make an arrest, not to. So when you are saying, when the police authority is saying they are disciplining police, it's neither here nor there, because we know that ails the police continues to be there. You are revolutionizing the police, you are doing everything, but policemen are still buying their own uniform, their kits. This is the only place on the planet that police officials, police officers they pay to get their own kits. You have to go to a patrol. The leader of the patrol team will have to source for money to fuel the patrol vehicle. So these are the fundamental things that should be changed in the police. If it's just scapegoating a few of them, it doesn't change anything, because that the real element of the police is the internal corruption within the police force. Go to police barracks. They are living like IDPs. A lot of how are the? It's only in Nigerian police that they will create a ceremony to pay families of police officers who died in service.
All right.
They make a ceremony out of it, whereas this thing should be done simultaneously, seamlessly. That this is the conditions of service. If this happens, this is what should be. But you see that a police officer may die in Akwa Ibom or in Maiduguri, and the widow or the next of kin or whoever is to get their benefit will have to travel from Akwa Ibom, from Ekotekpene, from the tip of the ocean to come to Abuja to process. And at the end of the day, if you are to pay 1 million naira, you find that they would have spent 500,000 naira, trying to get benefit. So these are the fundamental revolution that should be carried out within the police. It's not to tell us that they are disciplining 151. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, quite instructive and objective points you've raised this morning. As always, we thank you for lending your thoughts and opinions to these conversations making the round.
Thank you very much.